Hi, my name's Panda, and you can call me Jesse. And I competed in a locals tournament last night that was about 16 people and was 5 rounds long. And I actually ended up going undefeated with a purple deck. I was focused more on Piedmon and Millenniummon, pretty much similar to a standard purple build that you may have been seeing floating around, but I put my own little twist on it, and I just kind of thought I'd share it. So yeah, again, like I said, I went undefeated. I played 4 red decks and 1 purple deck in the last and final match. So purple went top 2 for the night. So for the first game, I played, I think that was the only game that I could consider a wash. The guy didn't have any ultimates in his deck, so he was starved for level 5s. Other than that, I think the other 3 red decks I played were one I won, the second one I won 2-0, the third one I won 2-1. It was one of those rookie mistakes of just learning the game. The one game that I dropped in that match, I just was getting out-tempoed because of Metal Greymon, just the one that swings for swings, and then you get 3 memory, and then they give you 3 memory on pass. And then the second game that I dropped on against another red player, pretty much my starting hand was just 2 Volcanic Dramon, and every chance I was close to being able to drop it on his board, he got out of it to a level 4 or 5. That was just too big for its effect. So I'll go into more detail about how I feel about that card in a bit. And then the purple mirror, my deck was a little bit more consistent than his. I could feel that I pretty much had control over the whole entire game, and pretty much after game 1, whenever he lost, he had to leave, so ended up giving me the match. But I think ultimately my deck just would have been better because he was running Beals and as well as a blue draw engine that he decided to tech in, which was causing him to brick a little bit. So again, let's get into the deck list. So I decided to go 3 Pokemon and 2 Yammon. I wanted to focus more on the drawing aspect rather than the milling aspect. So I feel like I could get away with the 2 Yammon for the simple fact that past your second turn, so on your turn 3, you wouldn't really need a purpose for Pokemon anymore. At that point, I mean, it's just kind of deteriorating your deck. Yeah, you can recover it with Mat, but if you mill a Mat or mill one of your tech cards, you don't really want to have to rely on playing that 4-cost tamer to dig an option or losing a tech card, or even potentially losing a Millenniummon over a mill. Okay, and then pretty much standard rookies for this version of the deck. 2 Digimon, just low cost, that's why we play them. 3 Impmon for the early mill, and 4 Gapamon for the draw, and 4 Tapermon for the draw. So things to note: Tapermon is a good combo piece. Pretty much you have him in grave, you play Night Raid, and then bring out Tapermon, and then drop Chimeramon. Then you get a you plus off the draw, and you get a pop on their board. So just neat little combos. So then for the champs, we got 4 Wizardmon, 4 Vilemon, and 4 Devimon. Same thing with Wizardmon. There's a couple times where I used Chimeramon to pop the Wizardmon with a Gabumon on top, and really just popped off with the draw power. Also, with his retaliation effect, I was actually able to get that off about 4 or 5 times during the tournament. So in a matter of 5 matches, I was about to use it. I was able to use it about once per match, or sometimes more than one per match. Okay, and then obviously Vilemon, you're trying to revive that off of Piedmon as best as you can. If you can't revive 2 Vilemon, then you're trying to get Devimon on board so you can clear their board. Just these two provide a big part of your board presence in the early mid game. Chimeramon, we've kind of already described it a little bit. Probably your second best removal card. Trump Sword being your best removal card, just because it's so generic. This one kind of is a little rough whenever they finally get into that level 6. It's almost like if you don't use this at the correct time, then they'll be able to like snowball and kind of get into their Omnimon or like Gallantmon or whatever the case may be. And then, so of course the 4 Piedmon, the staple in the deck. I don't think really any of the purple decks should be running less than 4. Definitely at least 3 is I think mandatory for any purple deck. Okay, and so the only card that I saw last night that I just really didn't care for was Volcanic Dramon. I teched this in instead of the Heat Viper for the simple fact that, for a few reasons actually. The fact that, one, it provides me board presence. So yes, I'm giving them a lot of memory cost, but I have that security attack and a big beater on board. 2, you know, getting rid of monsters with his on play effect, and you know, just single-handedly really beating into Rookie Rush that way. So my only issue with it was I didn't see any Rookie Rush. I didn't see anybody building super wide boards that I could really break this against. Most of the people that I was playing against were building tall, so I was just kind of able to control them and manipulate their board as best as I could, and I really never needed Volcanic Dramon. Okay, and then Magdramon, super solid card. I got it off, I think, at least once every match. Especially playing against red, they were, you know, swinging for multiple securities with the regular Greymon from the starter deck, and was putting a lot of pressure on me. So I just really wanted to have that comeback play, and as well as a combo piece with Wizardmon. I will say that the only thing that you have to think about when playing this card is you kind of have to pre-plan it, because you don't want to get into a position where you're just dropping the Magdramon for recovery, because 1, you're giving them a lot of memory, and 2, if there's no follow-up, then they'll just take that security straight back from you. So I kind of mentioned before, I was kind of, by some of the red decks, I was getting, the games that I dropped, I was getting out-tempoed by that Metal Greymon, just giving them so much memory. At one point, the one game that I dropped in the second to last game, he had 3 Metal Greymons at one point, so he was just swinging and getting +9 memory, So it was just really hard to keep up with. But overall, I think Magnemon should be a staple in this deck and should probably stay in it no matter what. Millenniummon, I think that was probably one of the biggest MVPs whenever I saw Omnimon. I was able to remove Omnimon every single time. I would just hold on to it. I knew when an Omnimon was coming because they would try to stall out bringing that level 6, and then as soon as they hit that level 6, then they would wait for me to establish some type of board, and then they would pop something that they would think would be valuable. Most of the time they were trying to pop my blockers, and then not worrying about like my Piedmon or stuff like that, just because they were like, okay, get rid of the blocker, I can probably end soon. And then so they didn't realize that I would be able to counterplay that right away. And then as soon as you have Millennium on board, Omnimon can't really play around it. It takes them at least 2 turns to deal with it, because you know it'll revive itself after it gets deleted. Next, we have the option cards and then the Tamer card. Play 3 Night Raid and 4 Trump Sword. The theory on 3 Night Raid was I didn't want to see it in my opening hand. I wanted to see it consistently throughout mid and late game, which is why we played 3 instead of 4. And then I felt like 2 would be a little too scarce for this specific build, since it's kind of a borderline Rookie Rush deck. Okay, and then we also had the 4 Trump Sword. I hear a lot of people say that this card is overhyped. This card is pretty meh. It's they just say it's not that great. I'd argue that this is the most generic form of removal that this deck has. It'll respond to anything that your opponent has. If they drop that Millenniummon, pop it. If they have a big blocker that you can't get over, pop it. I mean, it deals with everything and should never be played less than 3 or 4. Lastly, you have the Tamer card. We have 3 Matt. I was testing with 2, and I wasn't seeing enough. I wasn't seeing it enough, and from watching like other deck profiles and stuff like that, I consistently heard that 4 was too much, because obviously when you play it, I mean, it doesn't really do much for you after that, playing more of them. So I think 3 was the proper number. You know, same kind of theory as Night Raid. You don't want to open it. You don't want to clog with it. You want to see it consistently throughout the match. Okay. And then just kind of wanted to touch on some theories as to why some of these cards I didn't really play. So Suikaimon, you can argue with it that you can play it just because it's level 3 and it gives you memory, but I wanted to have that 2-cost Digimon just in case I'm in a awkward spot where I'm like at like 1 memory and I can just pass it with them getting 1 memory. The Digimon, I think this would be better if you're playing an evolution build. I'm not playing an evolution build, so there's no need to play this card. Raremon, I'm not playing an option heavy build, so again, no reason to play this card in my build. I will say that that 5 cost to play it, to reveal 3, is in my eyes not too great, and this card should probably be avoided. But I mean, it's up to your personal preference and what you think is best. Millenniummon, same thing. I think I'll put just these 4 all in the same category, or actually these 3 in the same category. If you're not playing an evolution build, there's no reason to play them. The likelihood of you getting these effects off without it is just unlikely. Millenniummon, I've seen a couple builds run this. I don't care for it. I think it's too cost heavy, doesn't do enough, especially with the second effect of Venomosmon, gaining a memory whenever an opponent's monster becomes suspended. Especially with like the matchup against red, them just gaining so much memory and gaining so much advantage with that. This doesn't really do enough for you. Metal Garurumon, in theory, it's really good, especially if you were to combo it off with Were Garurumon. Potentially getting 2 level 3s back on the board in 1 turn is really solid, and I think it's something that could be tested a little bit more and is something that I want to test. But nextly, I think this one could potentially be in the deck that I'm playing, just so I can play a better Millenniummon Turbo, but it's up for debate. I also don't have 2 Beelsmon, so that's probably one of the reasons why I didn't play it. Boltmon, again, not an evolution build, so no reason to play it. Lilithmon, I think she's just not in a good spot right now, so that's just my personal take on it. I don't see the value in playing this card unless you're playing like Darkness Claw, which, I mean, like, I saw somebody playing it and, you know, they used Darkness Claw to actually gain a memory, which, I mean, that was cute, but like in the overall grand scheme of things, this card doesn't do enough for you as it is, so I don't see the value in playing Lilithmon at this point in time. And then Heat Viper, I didn't care for this card too much. In my head, it was 2 cost heavy, 5 cost plus deleting one of your Digimon just to delete 2 level 4 lower. Sure, it helps out with Rookie Rush decks, but that's also why we're running Volcanic Dramon, which Volcanic Dramon I think also just provides more pressure in general. And I think one of the second card that I think could be teched into my deck that would have a good place to stay would be Back for Revenge. And pretty much it just, if your Digimon were to die that turn, you'd just be able to bring it back, and then it doesn't get any on play effects, and you don't pay memory cost for bringing it back. And so pretty much the ideal play would be bringing back like a Tapirmon, or activating this on a Tapirmon or Devimon, and then swinging at something or swinging out of security, and then if it dies, it just comes back, and you still get the effect off of either draw or retaliation or whatever the case may be. So again, those are my final thoughts. I think this deck is really solid. Purple's in a really good place right now. I think it's probably the only contender against Omnimon Turbo at the moment, just because this deck can consistently put Millenniummon out without having to max out on it. And just the draw power, the consistency of the way this deck I built specifically is, I think just provides so much advantage over the other decks that are in the meta right now. And last but not least, yeah, if you have any questions or comments or anything that you want to bring to the table, feel free to comment on the video. Things that you want to have more insight onto why I made a decision for X, or what you think could be cool for like Metal Garuru build or Evolution build, and hopefully I can post a couple more videos on other decks or improve on this deck. Peace.